This video will demonstrate how to create a orthographic projection drawing with the 3 views based on this. This is going to be what the object looks like. I've already got my layers set up. I'm going to make sure I'm on layer 0. A couple ways you can do this. I'm going to go ahead and sketch out the front view first. So remember, the front view should be the view that shows the most information, fewest hidden lines, and longest dimension. And this is the perfect front view right there. It shows the most information of the part. So first of all, I'll go ahead and sketch that out. My ortho is on and my object snaps are on. You can start anywhere you want. Now this has nice round numbers, so it's pretty easy to sketch. That won't always be the case. All right, so there's my front view of the part, and I'm going to build my other views off of that one. So what I'm going to do now is put some construction lines on here. So I'm going to switch over to my construction layer. And again, my ortho is on, so I know that my lines are going to be horizontal and vertical. And I'm just going to come out here, just some reasonable distance. I need to have enough space to fit my other views in there. And again, they're just construction lines. Okay, I know that my right side view will be here. The bottom will line up with that line. The top will line up with that line. My top view is going to be here. The left side will line up there. The right side will line up there. And I'll get to the other details here in a minute. So let's talk about space between the views. You want to leave a reasonable amount of space. Don't crowd the part, but at the same time, don't get too far away for the view. So a good rule of thumb is for a small part like this is only 6 inches wide, is 2 to 3 inches between the views. I'm going to use 3 inches. So I'll go to my offset command, type in 3, enter. I'll offset that over 3 inches. So that's going to be the space between the views. That'll be the view there. The width of this part, so when I'm looking at the right side now, I'm going to see this side and this side. That's 4 inches wide. So I'm going to do another offset of 4. That's the spot that I reserved for my right side view. Again, I left 3 inches between the views, and then there's the space for my right side view. I want to do the same thing with the top view. However much space I left between the front and the right, I should leave between the front and the top. So I'll do an offset 3, enter. There's the space between the views. Again, from the top, now I'm going to see this rectangle and that one. It's still 4 inches wide. Remember that thickness there, that depth is going to be the same regardless of whether you're looking at the right side or the top. So I'm going to do an offset 4, enter. That's the space for the top view. And you cannot just randomly put the views around the paper. They need to line up. Top view directly above the front view, right side directly to the right side here. And let's go ahead and do a miter line. So since I've got these construction lines, let's go ahead and put a miter line on there. All I have to do is connect the dots here. So the miter line will start at the imaginary or real, if the part looks like that, upper right hand corner of the part, and you're going to travel up 45 degrees. Since this is an even amount of space here, I know that that's a 45-degree line. Now that's a great construction tool. We're not going to use it so much on this part, but that's a good habit to get into. So that's typically how I like to really get my drawings started. It's all set up to go. So let's do the right side and the top view. So I'll switch back to my 0 layer. And as far as the outline, if you think about looking at this right side view, I know the height of this. I'm on my 0 layer. I'm just going to basically connect the dots here. That's the basic outline. Now as I look to the right, so again, if I'm standing over here looking at this, I am going to see this corner here. So that's that corner right there. So I would have an edge right there. So if I want to do a construction line, that's okay. Or since that's a simple line, I'm just going to draw a line from that corner. Again, my ortho is on, so I can just come over here. If you try to click it right on the line, you'll see how it's jumping around. I usually just go past the line, and then I can just use my trim tool. There's many ways to create these views, and I'll just trim that off. So there's my right side view. Now that's what I see when I look at the part, but also I have this notch that's cut out here. Now I can't actually see it from the right side, but it's still there. So I want to show that with hidden lines, right? So anything that's hidden from view, I still want to try to show it. And I know what it's going to be. It's just going to be a line that represents that top of that. So I'm going to switch to my hidden line layer and just draw a line again from there over. I could have trimmed all that at the same time, I suppose. Trim that off. And there's my right side view. Now don't be alarmed by the different size of lines there. When you go to the layout, you won't see the difference. So now there's my right side view. Again, I see that surface. I see that surface. Now I can't see this because those two edges line up. See that and that. And then I want to show you what I can't see, which is that notch cut out. And what I'll be able to see from that view will be the top of that part. Remember, that's just a construction line right there. In fact, I can get rid of that construction line if I want. Now, same process for the top view. Again, that's the space between the view. That's the area I have reserved for the top view. If I want, I can just switch to my 0 layer and then come here. Right. So again, it's silly to re-measure everything. I already have that width dimension or length, however you want to call it. It has to be the same. So with those projection lines up, that takes care of it. Again, it's very, very important you have ortho on pretty much all the time. The name of this process is orthographic projection. Now what else do I have? I have this corner right here. So if I'm looking at the top of the part, I'm going to see that rectangle and that one, and they're going to be separated by a line. Now from the top, I cannot see this edge right here. I can only see the line. So I could either, a couple things you can do. Let's do a construction line. I can do a construction line from here up and then switch to my 0 layer and connect that. I don't have to worry about trimming if I do that. That takes care of what I truly see. Now also, again, I have this notch that's cut out. And this is kind of interesting geometry because this line here lines up with that one. So what happens is this object line basically is going to cover up the fact that there's a hidden line down there. But I do need to show this hidden line. So like I did before, construction line, just draw a line straight up, switch to my hidden layer, and then connect the dots. Essentially. Now I'm not using my miter line in this case just because there's no real geometry for that. Now all I have to do is come over here and turn off. If you turn off that light bulb, the construction layer goes away. And it's in the background, but you don't really need it. Now I want to switch to my 0 layer, for example, to put my name on this. So spell ortho right. And there's my front view, right side, top view. Now don't label them. A lot of times when you're looking at explanations and examples, they will label the views. That's a rookie mistake. Do not label the views. It's everybody who looks at this will know front view, top view, right side view, or I should say everyone who understands this system, which isn't just something I'm making up. This is the universally accepted way of creating drawings. If I go to my layout, I'm going to have to, let's say I was playing with this a little bit earlier. Now if that happens, because I'd used this sheet already and my borders are gone, just switch to layout 2 and then you can come in and basically have a clean sheet to work with. So that's the same process. Get it nice and big. Text is kind of small there now. Of course, I didn't put my dimensions on this, and that's another thing about having multi-views is it gives you more places for the dimensions. What I like to do is actually create, I went back to my layer controls, actually create a layer, spell it right, for my dimensions and give it a different color. Let's just make that red. And it should be a continuous line. And that way, if you get to more complicated drawings, this will become helpful, but you'll have your, oops, forgot to switch layers. Just give you an easy way to turn your dimensions off if you need that to happen. Now I got too many decimals, so go to dimension styles, modify, primary units. Let's just go 2 decimals on those. Say OK. I'm not going to worry about the fit on these. So when I made my dimension layer, it carried forth that line weight. I don't want a big, thick dimension line, right? That looks a lot better. And as usual, use good dimensioning practices in terms of your spacing of dimensions. Leaving gaps at the corners. Now, it's a little bit harder to see because I made those line weights bigger, but that's totally fine. Oops, I guess I accidentally deleted a lot of dimensions because I was doing them all at the same time. That's okay. Dimensioning is so easy on AutoCAD. Now, also, try to use some of your other views for dimensions. For example, on this overall width, I could call it out here if I wanted. On this depth of the part, I could call that out. And I think I have enough dimensions there. Now, when you go to your layout, oops, hit escape, go to your layout. See if your colors are dark enough, because when you print these, typically people print them on a black and white printer. If these are too light, they're not going to show up. So, because what we're doing is fine, but just don't use that real light pink or real light lime green or something or yellow, because they just won't show up. And you can see that you have hidden lines there. I didn't have any center lines to incorporate in this one. So that's how you use your layers. That's how you use construction lines. And that's how you create a simple orthographic, and from that 3D part to a multi-view drawing.